Joe Altobelli passed away today, and just wanted to give my condolences to his family. 83 World Series champion, Baltimore Orioles. So just wanted to pay my respects to the Altobelli family.
All right, Rock, if you want to lead us off with questions, you can go ahead.
Hey, Brandon, with the AAA season now also pushed back, do you have any information yet on what you guys are planning to do as far as alternate site? And is this something you anticipated for a while and you've already kind of been in the planning stages of what to do with some of these guys who otherwise would have been playing at Norfolk in April?
And, it's something we're going to talk about here in the next few days. I just heard about that this morning also, and we haven't discussed it yet. At least I haven't with Mike. So that's going to be a topic of conversation here this week about our AAA players.
Nathan Ruiz, you can go ahead.
I'm good. That was my question.
Rich, you can go ahead.
Brandon, earlier we were talking to Tyler Nevin, and you have several guys on your team whose fathers have played. His father has played or coached Major League Baseball, or in the case of Cirola, his uncle. We often hear about, oh well, he's a coach's son and whatever. But do you find anything special about players who had close relatives who are major leaguers, that there is something extra mentally that they've picked up?
Well, I think that I was actually talking to Tony Manzolino, infield third base coach, his dad, Doug, and kind of his upbringing and how he grew up with traveling with his dad, growing up in the clubhouse, being around major league players. His dad was a rover for a long time, being in different cities. I think that when you grow up in that environment, I think that there's you realize that major league players, professional baseball players, professional athletes are just like everybody else, and you have it's a special feeling knowing like that those guys, but at the same time they're real to you, and I think it's just helpful. It's helpful knowing that you can maybe do what they're doing someday, just because that you see them not only on the field but off the field also, and that they're regular guys. So I just knowing their routine and knowing being a part of what a clubhouse looks like, and seeing the work that these guys put in and seeing it firsthand as a kid, I think that's really helpful later down the road.
Mark Viviano, you're up.
Hey, Brandon. Watching Cesar Valdez strike out the side yesterday, we all know his story by now after he came up last year with you guys. As he looks to write another chapter, you've seen a lot of baseball. How do you describe this guy and what he is doing at this point? He'll be 36 years old this year.
Yeah, it's a great story. Valdez, just really professional. He's always here early, gets his work in. He's always watching. He watches other people throw. He watches bullpens. He just does everything right. And he's a veteran in the standpoint, he's played this game for a long time in a lot of different places, been on a lot of different teams, played in different countries, had a lot of different experiences. And I think that he is appreciative of being in the big leagues right now. And he's taking full advantage of it. And I see him mentoring younger players. He's a voice in our clubhouse. He's kind of a quiet voice, but he is a voice, and that he demands a lot of respect for how long he's played this game and his past experiences. And so to see him go out and have success it's just so cool. And he's off to a good start after a really nice appearance yesterday.
Joe Trezza, you're up.
Brandon, I just want to follow up on Rich's question real quick about Tyler Nevin. Did you have a previous relationship with Phil at all? Had you known him? And what were some of the things you heard about Tyler after the trade last year?
I know Phil just from coaching against him. So just kind of across the dugout during batting practice, a little small talk here and there. We talked after the trade. We talked about his son. Tyler was very excited to be an Oriole, and Phil expressed that to me, and that was in New York. But yeah, no, I don't know Phil very well, but I do know him a little bit, and have a lot of respect for him.
Viv with a follow-up.
Yeah, Brandon, I asked you about the older guy in Valdez. I want to ask you about Rutschman. Watching him catch yesterday, he meets the pitcher on the mound before the inning. He greets him coming off the mound after the inning. He's directing the infield, and I know that's part of the job. But to see a young guy kind of show that sort of command, is that unusual, or is that typical, would you say?
No, I think it's unusual. It's very natural for him. There's nothing forced. There's nothing fake. He's naturally a guy that understands his position and understands the communication aspect of it. Very vocal in a great way. But yeah, it's very mature beyond his years.
Kevin Reed with a question.
Brandon, kind of along the same lines, talking about the kids in your camp that have had fathers that played in the major leagues. How about someone like a Taran Bavra, who has a dad who was a coach at the major league level more than a player? Do you notice any differences in their approach to anything, or maybe a little more knowledge about certain things?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been around Taran very much. Looking forward to being around him more going forward. But yeah, the coaches' kids that I've been around usually have a pretty good feel for the game, and they're used to being in the coach's room. They're used to listening about coaches talking about players or strategy, just talking the game a lot. I have fortunate to have a 12-year-old son that is very into baseball, very into sports, loves to be in the clubhouse, grew up in the clubhouse. Unfortunately, this year and last year hasn't been able to be around. But I just think they soak in experiences, and if they sit and they listen and they hang around, then I think it's easy for them to grasp things maybe a little quicker than others because they're growing up in the game.
Last question goes to Dan Connolly. Go ahead.
Hey, Brandon, kind of back to what Viv was asking about Rutschman. Him greeting the pitcher after the end of the inning is something he did in college. And even in college, people were wondering whether that would actually play as a pro when he's dealing with professional pitchers, to actually run up and greet them almost cheerleader-esque, after they finished an inning. Does that play? I've seen Salvador Perez kind of did that a little bit, but I don't really know of anybody else I've ever seen really do that every inning. Does that play in the majors? Can it play in the majors?
Yeah, I don't. There's nothing fake about it. I think that he's talking with the pitcher as he's coming off the mound. I don't think he runs out to the mound and walks off with him. I think he meets him while he's coming off, and I think that's a great quality. It's a great quality to have. That pitcher-catcher relationship is extremely important. Something we talk about a lot. And Adley, it's important. Every inning is important defensively to him, and he's trying to get that pitcher through the inning and put up a zero. And you just tell that he's fully invested in who's on the mound and trying to help him as much as he can.